Hello, today's topic, how to write dissertation. First of all, I would like to congratulate all of you who are viewing this video because you have reached a stage where you need to write a dissertation. That means you have become successful in your academic career, so that you have reached to a stage that you require to write a dissertation. So first of all, let us start with what is dissertation. Dissertation, it is usually an exercise to train usually graduate or postgraduate student to plan, execute, evaluate, write and report a scientific project. It is usually an in-depth study for a particular topic which can contribute new information and knowledge in the field. There are two terms which are used interchangeably. One is thesis and second is dissertation, but actually there is a little difference between them. Thesis is usually shorter. It is done at end of 1 year, and objective is to teach and train a student in research methodology, and the thesis process is more important than the outcome, while dissertation is usually over a longer period of time. It is a very in-depth study which is usually done over a 3 or 4 year period of time, and it reflects the critical thinking of candidate on the research topic, and there is bound to be a new outcome at the end of dissertation. So why to do dissertation? So as per guideline of MCI, universities all over India have made dissertation a mandatory part of postgraduate degree curriculum in medical field. It teaches the fundamentals of research methodology and stimulates an interest in research among students. It helps to develop your scientific attitude. It teaches you how to probe into a depth of a topic. It teaches you how to critically appraise a medical literature. It encourages to develop special technical skills. It encourages students to use library, electronic medical databases, and can contribute to new knowledge. And it teaches how to publish scientific data. Now, what are the different roles of student, PG guide as well as university? Student has to show a true involvement with sincerity and honesty, and it could be a very good learning opportunity for student. While usually PG guides or student guide usually supervise and guide at all the stages, they try to help them as much as possible, but majority of work has to be done by the student. University has to set a standard for the dissertation, and they should give weightage to dissertation by allocating mark in the final examinations. So let us understand how you will proceed for this dissertation proposal, at least in India. You will select a topic, you will write a dissertation proposal, get it approved by your PG teacher and HOD, finalize the proposal, submit it for ethical approval, do a pilot study, you will submit synopsis at university, you will start actual dissertation work and documentation, you will prepare a master chart, you will do data analysis and result formation, you will do statistical analysis, you will write complete dissertation report by completing result and discussion part, and finally you will review your entire work, get it approved by your PG teacher and HOD, prepare a print as well as soft copy, submit it to university, and finally you will learn how to defend your dissertation in Viva. It may seem overwhelming, but you have to do this process over a period of 3 years. So let us take it step by step, and the first step is usually selection of topic. Now it is usually a policy that every department has some selected topics which they usually try to give students, and there is nothing wrong about it, but you can choose a topic based on your interest. You can discuss it, you can do brainstorming with your PG guide, you can do literature search regarding the topic, whatever studies has been done earlier. You can use available resources, and you have to also keep in mind what are the resources available at your place as well as the time frame in which you have to complete the study. Now some tips for topic selection: avoid repetition. At least the topic should not be from same institution in last 5 years. You should take minimal help from other department, keep it departmental, and the topic selection should at least formulate some kind of hypothesis which can be tested by statistical significance test if possible. So how to write a dissertation proposal? That is obviously second step. So once you have selected the topic, you have to write a dissertation proposal. So it includes title, introduction, aims, objective and methods. So let us start with title. Now title has to be concise. It should be very short, not too short. You have to use no abbreviations in the title. Title should be informative. At least 4 things should be very clear by reading the title: the objective of study, which kind of study you are doing, what is the duration of study, and where the study will be done. Introduction. It is usually state the nature and scope of the problem and why you are doing this study. It is 200 to 500 words in limit, at least 1 to 2 pages. And we have to start with what is known for the topic and what is not known, and we will explore that portion. Then you have to frame aims and objective. Now some people are confused regarding what is aim and what is objective. Aim is usually a broader term. It points out the general purpose of study, while objective spells out specifically what one needs to do in the study. It is the specific statements that will define measurable outcome. As I believe that objective should be SMART. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Methods. In this you have to describe the detailed methodology. You have to make a statement about that you have taken all the ethical permission, or you will take the ethical permission. What is the study site? What are your study population? Whom you will include, whom you will exclude? What are inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria? What is the study design? Here you will at least have to mention whether study is prospective or retrospective. That means data will be collected from follow-up of patients, or it will be collected from the past records. Then you have to state that whether it is a descriptive study or analytical study. Descriptive study usually describe a disease in relation to place, person, and time, while analytical studies can be observational, or it could be interventional. Then you have to give sample size, and that has to be not random. It has to be denote exact number of subjects that you want in your study, because it is the real strength. And incorrect sample size could lead to wrong conclusion, poor quality research, wastage of resources, as well as ethical problems, and we don't want that. There are many factors which could affect a sample size, like prevalence rate, degree of difference, degree of variation, desired level of significances, power of study, dropout rates, non-compliance, and resources available. Pardon me. And there are many methods to do a sample size calculation. One of the formula is shown here. N is sample size, which is equal to 4 into PQ divided by D square, where P is a prevalence, Q is derived from P, and D is the error you want to allow. What are the sampling method you will use? What is the methodology? How will you proceed? What are the investigations will be done? What are the outcome parameters, primary as well as secondary? How will you do data collection? Which statistical test you would like to use? Which software you will use? And same patient cannot be used in the study more than once as per university guidelines. Consent form. If you are using patients or human subjects, you have to take consent, and it should be in vernacular language. So you have to make the consent form in at least in English, Hindi, Gujarati, or any local language that you live in. Proforma. That is case record form. It consists of details of patient, details of methodology. That means everything that you want to record from a case or a patient or a data, and you have to keep Xerox copies of it, and one copy is to be utilized for one case or one patient. And you have to make a separate spiral bounding of it, or separate logbook which has record of all these CRFs. Then you should submit this proposal for IRB approval, mentioning all the things, including annexures like consent form and CRFs. Then you can do a pilot study. Pilot study is, that means you will check your study and CRF on a very small number of cases to see the validity of your study as well as CRF. And it should be always done in physical presence of guide, because sometimes you face some unanticipated difficulties or problems which requires experience, and which obviously guide has. And you have to modify your protocol, or you have to modify your CRF, and you can do that relevant changes with discussion with your guide, but you have to notify the changes to IRB and IEC or ethical committee and get it approved. Finally, once everything is ready, you can now submit your topic with synopsis submission to university. Then actual dissertation work you have to do. You have to document all the data. You have to interact your guide at least once a month, and with the dissertation committee in your department at least every 3 months. Then data collection in a master sheet or statistical analysis with help of statistician has to be done. Then writing dissertation, and this I think you should give a proper time, at least 6 months for complete writing of the dissertation. Then you have to submit your dissertation in paper format as well as electronic format to the university, spiral bound 6 paper copies, and in university you have to submit the Word or PDF file in CD-ROM with all the proper labeling. So what is the dissertation format, or how to write actually the dissertation? So we will discuss it in detail along with university guidelines. So content of dissertation, and before we move forward, let us look at some general guidelines. You don't have to go on and on with dissertation. There is a word limit, 6,000 words and text pages, which does not include table figures and annexures and preliminary pages, because long dissertation can be rejected by university. It has to be neat, without spelling and grammatical errors. The first few pages, which discloses your identity as well as your teacher's identity and institute's identity, has to be perforated so they can be removed before sending your dissertation to the assessors or examiners. So the first page will be cover page, which has dissertation title, year of submission, and the university name. Then you have the title page, which has same thing as cover page but with your name as well as your guide's name. Then declaration by the candidate that their work is a genuine research work along with your sign. The same thing with certificate by the guide as well as head of department or principal. Copyright declaration that your work is original and university has a right to use your work in print or electronic format for academic or research purpose. Ethical clearance certificate, you can insert the scanned copy of certificate in the dissertation. Acknowledgement, here you can thank all the person who have helped directly or indirectly in dissertation, sources of funding if you have any. And before actual text of dissertation can start, you have to include a page which only just mention the title of dissertation, date of examination, nothing else. And obviously that does not have to be perforated. Other pages that follows a list of abbreviation, table of content, which is basically an index, list of figures, list of tables. Introduction, objective, you have already written in dissertation proposal. Then you will do review of literature. Here you can use books, textbook or reference book, journals, electronic database like Medline or internet, but you have to give references, citation, and reliability of previous work is obviously expected. And when reporting previous work, you should not write conclusion from your work, right? And narration has to be on a consistent theme. And ROL reveals those aspects of topics on which research has not been carried out. And strength and weakness of other studies will serve as a guide for proposed study, requirements and difficulties for the proposed study, and information regarding what are the different animal models, drug models you would like to use, and know-how or technical details of proposal studies. Plagiarism. Plagiarism is the use of another author's language, thoughts, ideas, expression, figures, diagrams, and represent them as your own original work. This is the definition from the Oxford Dictionary. This could be intentional, it could be unintentional. For example, copy paste of text into from either website, textbook or encyclopedia into your dissertation, using photograph, video, audio without permission or acknowledgement, use other authors' work and claiming it as your own work without permission, even using your own previous work without properly citing it is also a plagiarism. How to avoid plagiarism? You have to give due credit to the original author, even when you paraphrase it, when you change the language or words of that particular sentence, then also you have to give credit to the original author. Material methods we have already discussed in dissertation proposal, so same you have to write here. So up to that portion you have actually written in dissertation proposal. So now, because you have made your master chart, you have made your documentation, and now you have your result tables, so you can show your observation, important findings in form of tables, photographs, graphs, charts, and all these are prepared by you. You cannot copy paste from textbook or journals or internet, and if you are doing so, you have to acknowledge it. Discussion. It should contain present principles, relationship and generalization shown by the result, point out exception or lack of correction, indicate agreement or contrast with previous published work. This is very important to compare your studies with earlier studies. State the implication of your result, and don't be shy here. Whatever you think that this study could implicate or have an impact, give that here. Give reasons for your conclusions, mention limitations of your work, and indicate what is the scope of further work in this field. Conclusion: mention the problem study and outcome observed and result got in very brief. Drawing the major conclusion from study is always imperative, and avoid all experimental details here. Just the main problem and what are your major finding or significant finding that has from the study you can mention here. Summary is all important points. Everything that you have written so far, you have to concise it in 10 to 15 lines. But major thing is your objective and the result points. All the references which you have taken from journals, books or internet has to be mentioned here. Most of the journal articles has to be in Vancouver format, in which initially you will write author names, then topic name, then name of journal, year of publishing, volume, issue, and the page numbers. In this order you have to mention it, and you have to only include those publications which you yourself has read and studied. Annexure like consent forms, case record forms, any other thing that you want to attach which is relevant to study, you have to put in annexure. Then the master chart, it includes relevant data of every single case included in the study, but it should not disclose patient's identity, and when there are no patients involved, at least include details of whatever data you have used for the work. Now, formatting of the dissertation, we need 6 spiral bound copies which should be laser print on a A4 size paper. Eraser paper should not be used. You have to use Times New Roman font, for title 16 font, and for text 14 fonts. Spacing is 1.5 except for long quotations, footnotes and endnotes. Margins on left hand side 1.5, and other margins could be 1 inch. Diagram photographs should be of standard page size. If larger, you have to fold it. Header and footer. Header should include title of chapter. Footer could include page number on right or center, and all the pages should be numbered. Separatists cannot be numbered. On preliminary pages you can give Roman number, and Arabic numerals can be given on text pages. Paragraphs, the dissertation should be in paragraph style, and every paragraph should have spacing of 10 characters. Every diagram should be very clear when you print it, and you have to put the title of photograph or picture below the photograph in Times New Roman font for 12 font size. Table and graph should be numbered in Roman numerals. Title of table above the table. Title of graph should be placed below the graph, and it is in 20 font size and in bold. Annexures are placed at the end of entire manuscript after the reference, and it is numbered in Roman numerals, 16 font size and in bold. Tips, skill tips. Before you start your dissertation work, I would suggest that you should go and learn about research methodology and ethics. Revise it if you have already learned it. Learn to use computer, laptop. Learn how to use internet for at least research purpose. Read reputed journals and previous dissertations. Train yourself to use MS Word, Excel and PDF. That will help you a lot. Learn biostatistic and software like SPSS, which will help you in statistical calculation. Learn digital organization and discipline. Regular backup of all dissertation related data in pen drive as well as in cloud is a must. Writing tips, you can start early for writing dissertation. Keep it formal, structured, and keep an objective style of writing. Write in paragraphy style. Use active voice. Omit useless words. Avoid repetition, and don't keep any missing or blank pages. So ideally, dissertation is over a 3-year period of work, and you can give it a timeline. So this is how I have planned my dissertation. For first 6 months, I have identified the topic. Review of literature has to be done. Preparation of perform a pilot study, get ethical clearance, submit it to university, synopsis at least, and 7 to 8 months you will do actual dissertation work with data collection. 19 to 24 month you will prepare master chart, make result tables, do data analysis, statistical analysis, write result and discussion, and write the complete dissertation, submit it to the university. And finally, last 6 months obviously you are preparing for exams, so learn to defend your dissertation for Viva, because that is a major point in Viva which is asked. So I hope this presentation or this video will help you out, whether you are a GU student or student anywhere who is doing a dissertation. If you have any suggestions that you want to give, please give it in comment box. I will try to include it in my next videos regarding dissertation, research work and methodology. Thank you very much. Best of luck.